Now to Newton, where there's fallout today after a man was shot at a pro-Israel rally. We want to break down exactly what happened here. A man charged at a group of pro-Israel protesters last night in Newton, tackling one of them to the ground. Officials say that man, Scott Hayes, then shot the man who tackled him. We froze the video just before the shooting. Tonight, there are calls for more security at these kinds of rallies. We'll get to that part of our team coverage in just a moment. But first, NBC 10's Oscar Margain is outside Newton District Court, where the accused shooter answered to charges today. Oscar.
That's right, JC. The defendant here released on bail moments ago, surrounded by his supporters who tell me he is not Jewish. However, he's been supporting the Jewish community, hence why his supporters fronted his $5,000 cash bail today. Now, in a twist to this case, the Newton police filing charges against the shooting victim. Mr. Hayes, what are your thoughts? How are you feeling?
47-year-old Scott Hayes walking out from a Newton court, surrounded by his supporters. The Framingham man out on bail after a violent encounter on Thursday. This is the moment when a heated argument at a small pro-Israel rally at Newton ended with a gunshot.
You are being charged with an assault battery with a dangerous weapon.
Hayes accused of firing his gun at a man who tackled him, striking the side of his stomach. The next day, the courtroom packed with his supporters who listened to the conditions of his bail and to his attorneys advocating for his release.
This is a textbook case of self-defense. We're confident that the investigation, when it's completed, will clear Mr. Hayes of all charges.
Prosecutors say a dozen pro-Israel demonstrators gathered at the corner of Washington and Harvard Streets at 4 p.m. Thursday.
You are defending genocide.
Then 2.5 hours later, police say a 31-year-old Newton man began a heated exchange with some rally-goers.
That individual came very rapidly across the street and tackled one of the demonstrators. There was a scuffle that was going on the street, and at some point, Mr. Hayes used a gun and fired a shot.
David Sherman was there, still shaken about what went down.
It was Scott that was the first one to see that it was shot. Immediately began treatment, and then I took that over.
He wishes for charges to be filed against the shooting victim. Charges set to happen soon.
A criminal complaint will be filed against the victim, so we are happy about that.
Now, on that, Newton police is set to file criminal charges against that shooting victim. Assault and battery is that charge. Now, the shooting victim here will have to be summoned to court at a later date. Now, as for Hayes, the conditions of his bail include daily curfews, also stay away from Newton, stay away from the victim, and not possess any dangerous weapons. He is set to return to court in November. Reporting live in Newton, Oscar Margain, NBC 10 Boston.
Oscar, thank you. Now, this is an incident in the city of Newton has them on alert. NBC 10's Darren Botello continuing our team coverage to show us how law enforcement is increasing its presence around town. Darren?
JC, kind of a wild and crazy day here in Newton with police officers right outside the courthouse for hours waiting for Scott Hayes to go inside and face that judge for his arraignment. He left the courthouse just several hours ago with his supporters speaking with us, saying they just don't know what's going to happen next.
Scott is an incredible person. He is a veteran American.
This woman who says she's a close friend of shooting suspect Scott Hayes is calling for more police or security during rallies relating to the Israel-Hamas war after gunfire at Thursday night's rally about a mile away from the courthouse here in Newton.
There was not enough police to secure the people who were asking for our hostages to be back.
Hayes leaving court on Friday without making a public comment. Do you have any response to the accusation? Less than 24 hours later, and here you can see a group of police officers standing watch outside Newton District Court on Friday awaiting Hayes' arraignment, with multiple demonstrators deliberating about future rallies.
It will be twisted and turned to make the people who stand for Israel look bad.
At events like this, what precautions would you take?
So you need to understand, I have certain beliefs, and I will think twice if I will take my children to follow my footsteps or have critical thinking out of events.
On Friday, the Anti-Defamation League chapter that's here in New England posting this response to the shooting on social media, saying in part, quote, "We are concerned about escalating tensions and remain in contact with law enforcement and community officials." The American Jewish Committee also responding with a statement saying in part, quote, "There is no place for violence. The more clarity there is about what happened, the better the chances of reducing tensions." And JC, Newton police say that increase in patrols outside houses of worship will last multiple days. Live in Newton tonight, Darren Botello, NBC 10 Boston.